What's up guys, Brendan with bringing you a video about my initial thoughts on the new season. So we're looking at map changes and item changes, and there's a lot going on here. So let's jump right into it. So we can see the map changes here. We can see top lane is actually much bigger now. Well, it seems like it's bigger. It's not quote unquote actually bigger. They just made the rocks a little bit shorter, but it's a lot harder to get ganked. It's actually much safer up here because when you're laning in the middle of the lane, it's a lot more open, but it's a lot more 1v1. There's only one bush here and you can just put a ward here and it covers all the way down to here. So you can basically see jungle ganks from like 2 camps away. There's also a new, before Rift Herald spawns, there's something called grubs, which give you a permanent siege buff for the rest of the game, which is pretty crazy. Red side looks pretty similar besides this rock here. I mean, this is all basically the same. Blue is much different though. So it's a lot more open and it flows much differently here. Also leading into like mid tower ganks. So mid, the brushes are further away. Like the river is wider and the brush is further away from the center. So it's actually, it kind of depends. Like it could be more safe, but I'm also looking at these ganks from behind tower here and here where you can get around by only taking 1 tower shot and getting ganked from behind. So not too sure if mid lane is going to be safer or not. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. We have this blue side, like I said, everything is just a little bit more open, which makes the map look a lot bigger. So red side here is the same, nothing changed here. We do have the change in the brush though, so it's kind of the same as bot lane, except now on red side you can get ganked from behind as well. So blue side had the ability to walk around and gank from behind. Now we have the same thing going on here, but it does, in my opinion, it seems a little bit easier to gank this way because it kind of flows. Like you could take Scuttle and just kind of walk through instead of having to go here and then walk down. You kind of just walk through and it feels way more fluent. So I'm wondering if red side ADC support is going to get camped a lot harder. We're going to have to wait and see. This is also opened up more right here, which is like a huge pathway here. So a lot more open for these dragon fights, which is going to be interesting. And like I said, it is even here. So that's basically the map changes. We also, let me just show the grubs real quick what they look like. Here they are, little guys, funny looking, but they give you a permanent siege buff, which is kind of crazy. So I mean, if you get these at 5 minutes and the game goes until 45 minutes, you get this buff for the rest of the game, which means we could see lane swap meta coming back. We could see ADC support going top lane for the first 10 minutes to work on these guys because dragons, individual dragons are not as strong anymore, but Dragon Soul is extremely powerful. So we could see ADC and support going top lane for the first 10 minutes of the game to help with these grub fights and then switching back to the dragon afterwards. Also, we can look at like Baron. There's 3 different types of Baron now and they can change the map. So this one makes it like a tunnel kind of and more open. So that'll be interesting. There is one that keeps it the same. And then there's a third one that I think it just changed. Yeah, it just changes. Whatever it changes to is what it's going to be for the remainder of the game. I do want to show one last thing here. You can now ride the Rift Herald. I just want to show this one last clip here. So you can summon the Rift Herald and it's like a Scion ult. You hop in and you've got the Rift Herald charge. So it's pretty cool. And so obviously you can go anywhere with it. It does damage when it runs through people as well and knocks them up. So it's kind of like a Scion ult. It's really cool. And even if you run out, something like that, he's still going to go and he's going to do his thing. But you can also hit the towers with it. So another big change there. Really cool. So let's look at what has happened to fighter items. Now, we're losing Gore Drinker and we're losing Divine, which are 2 big healing items for Fiora, and they're both very good on Fiora. So with the Mythic removal, we're also losing Divine Sunder and Gore Drinker. We do get a few new ones, which we'll look at. So a new item here is Terminus, which 40 AD, 30% attack speed. It's kind of like Bork, and it gives you armor and armor pen and magic resist and magic pen. So I don't think it's that great for Fiora. It kind of feels like a knockoff Bork a little bit. Maybe Yone could use it really well or something, but regardless, this isn't really the greatest item for Fiora, I must say. There is experimental hex plate, so that's a new one. Gives 30 haste for your ultimate, and then you get extra attack speed and movement speed. And then we have Sundered Sky, which will be the other new one here, which is going to give us 55 AD, 300 HP, and 15 ability haste. And the first attack against the champion crits for 150% and heals for 137. It goes off base AD, and then 8% of missing health. So it's not as great as Divine Sunder. It doesn't really feel like it's too good. I'd say one of the coolest changes here, because some of these are the same items, like Hullbreaker is different, Stridebreaker is different, Spear Shogun, a lot of things are different. I'd say one of the cool ones that I think has a lot of potential for Fiora is Eclipse being 70 AD and 15 ability haste for only 2,800. Super cheap, brand new build path. And we've got Glowing Moat, which is an ability haste item now, which increased the price of Sheen because Sheen has ability haste now, and so we have that. Now, some build paths that I've been looking at, it's kind of weird without having any lifesteal. So we know that the Forbidden build, which wasn't built that often, but I built it sometimes with Bork, Triforce into Ravenous is good. This is good because it has ability haste to it. It's got wave clear. It's got split push. It's got everything we need. So at least we know we have one build. Now, other than that, I must say it is a little awkward because when we look at this Ravenous active, it's really slow. It's very, very slow. It's kind of awkward. So I think this might be a bug. I think they might need to just fix this because it just feels really off-putting. Like, it's so slow. It's like slower than Gore Drinker was. Now, it's the same way now that Tiamat active is back, which is awesome. Like, everybody's really excited for Tiamat active, but hopefully it's much different than this because this does not feel good. I am hoping that they fix that. Now, there is the possibility for a double active because Stridebreaker is still in the game. So we do have Stridebreaker active. So Stridebreaker is really cool. It's the same Stridebreaker, except it no longer does damage. So when I hit this guy, it does no damage unless I'm hitting a Vital, which is something that literally is Fiora exclusive. Like Fiora would be the only champion that could do damage with Stridebreaker, basically, by hitting a Vital with it. So you can technically have two actives, 1 and 2, that can proc Vitals with Tiamat and Stridebreaker, which has actually never been seen in the game before. So this could honestly be game breaking, assuming that they fix this Tiamat proc because it's so slow. Now there is a new Hydra that is in the game as well, and it is meant to be an Assassin Hydra. It's called Profane Hydra. It's got 60 AD, 18 lethality, and 20 ability haste. The only issue with this item is that it is a lethality item. And now, just historically speaking, lethality has never been good on Fiora. There's never been a build path for it. There was a crit build that was very good on Fiora back in the day with Essence Reaver and Immortal Shield Bow because the items were so broken. They were so broken that everyone was building that basically, and it got nerfed quite quickly. Now this Hydra does feel much better, much faster, but I think, like I said, I just don't think that a lethality item is going to be very good for Fiora because there's never been a build that included lethality for her because she does true damage. She doesn't need lethality. Lethality is basically a wasted stat on her. Now, I do have some interest in the Titanic Hydra. It no longer scales off bonus HP. It just gives you a flat 55 AD and 550 HP, but it allows for some cool auto cancels here. So we can basically auto E2 or 1 or 3, or whatever your active's on, and we get like 3 auto attacks, which also can be used on the tower. So we can get 3 auto attacks right away, which is really cool. So that's really great for split pushing, and the stats aren't that bad either. So I'm actually very interested in Titanic. Like I said, these are my initial thoughts. I want to obviously go into some games and try out some build paths and then make some videos on that as well. But I just want to show you guys. And so also a little change here to Spear Shojin that I actually like. Spear Shojin, 55 AD, 200 HP, so it is losing its HP a little bit, and then 20 ability haste. One of the big issues that I've noticed with builds here is that we lack ability haste now because they took ability haste away from Triforce. So it only has 10 instead of 20, but it did get a little bit of AD. So even with our 3 items here, our core build, we only have 30 ability haste, which gives us 23% CDR, which means even my W at max rank right now still has a 12-second cooldown, which is a little scary with the CDR changes because, you know, if we could get rid of Stridebreaker and we could go Spear Shojin and we'd only have 50, which just changed it a little bit to 9.7, but typically we'd be looking at about 60 right now if this was, you know, live right now. Now, I am, like I said, have a lot of interest in this item, the Eclipse, because it does have the 15 ability haste, so it does take up that ability haste difference, but it also has 70 AD, and Fiora loves AD. So right now I'm thinking that this could be a really good build, Triforce, Ravenous, and Eclipse, or even Triforce, Titanic, and Eclipse, and then I also really like Triforce, Ravenous, and Stridebreaker, of course, with the Bork, Triforce, Ravenous build as well. So those are the builds that I'm really interested in. Obviously, we're going to jump in and we're going to try everything, just like I did before Season 11 and Season 12. I'm going to go in and I'm going to try every item, even some tank items, because I'm really interested in Jack Show. Jack Show seems to do what Hullbreaker cannot anymore because Hullbreaker has lost its resistances. Hullbreaker no longer gives you resistances when you are split pushing. It will give your super minions and siege minions armor and magic resist, but not you as a champion. So it's losing a lot of value. It does have 65 AD and some move speed and a little bit of HP, but I don't think that Hullbreaker is going to be as good as it used to be. It does have a new passive now where you attack 5 times, then it does an empowered one like that, which can also be used on towers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Empowered, but I don't think it's going to have as much value as it used to have. So we do have Sundered Sky that I want to look at as well. Also, keep in mind this Spear Shojin with the 15, it does make it a lot more simple. You know, your non-ultimate spells gain 15 ability haste, so that's really great because you don't have to do all the math equation to figure out how much ability haste you're really getting with the AD and stuff like that. It's just 15 straight, so it, you know, it changes. If I get rid of it here, I will have 11 seconds on my W, and then I buy the item, and I get it down to 8.8, which is awesome. But the only thing with Shojin that I notice is with this new passive, the Focus Will, spell hits grant stacks. Up to 4, your spells deal 3% increased damage for each stack. The only thing I notice is that E does not count. So you'll notice when I Q, I get a 1 there, and then I Q again, I get a 2, and then when I W, I'll get a 3, but when I press my E, it does not count. It does not count as a spell. So that's a little bit interesting. We're losing a little bit of value off that. Now, I do want to just look, I'll just show you this item. I don't think this item is good, but you'll see it goes like light and dark mode, and they kind of like alternate back and forth. So we get some armor, some MR, and then we also get increased penetration, like armor pen and magic pen, but we don't do any magic damage, and we do true damage, so it's really not the greatest thing ever. But you can notice how one attack does 393, the other one does 453, so it's just a little bit different. They just alternate. I think Yone's gonna love it though. Yone's gonna love that item. So the experimental hexblade, I also want to show. Now this item I think is a little overkill for Fiora, but obviously I want to test it. But when you ult, it grants you 35% attack speed and 15% bonus move speed. So when I ult, I get a little bit of electric around me, and I'm a little bit faster, and my attack speed is increased, but I just don't really know how good that will be, only because if I stand here and I ult, I got 131 attack speed, 523 for my move speed, and then let's go back in and we'll buy it, and then we'll ult again. So we go to 552. So it's not too crazy of an increase, and you're already getting a lot of movement speed anyways from hitting your vitals and from your ulti passive. So I just think it might be a little overkill, but who knows? Maybe we'll try it and it will be really good. Sundered Sky is going to give us first attack to a champion, crits for 150 and heals for base AD and 8% of missing health. So it would look something like this. This is the stack right here. You can see this little icon here, and that means that they're available for the Sundered Sky. So when I Q them, auto, boom, get some HP back there, which is great. Also, if you notice, I'm getting this shield from Eclipse, which is really cool. That's why I think Eclipse might have some value. Sundered Sky might be good. I do want to mess around with it a little bit, but it just seems really expensive for not a lot of value. I'm not too sure, because a standard Fiora build, obviously we want like Sheen / whip item, and then we want wave clear, and then we want split push power / team fight power, right? And then by the time we get the 4th and 5th item, we're looking at like situational things like resistances, anti-burst like Sterix, things like that. So this item would have to fit into the core build, the first 3 items, but it just seems so lackluster. I don't know. I'm just not sure about it. I don't think Mana Mune's coming back. I think Sterix will be good, but I do think that we do have some options in the tank items like Jack Show. Force of Nature got buffed, so it's super strong right now as well. So we do have that. And I think that Jack Show kind of covers what Hullbreaker used to because of the extra resistances. And then obviously when it stacks up, we hit 5 times here. And Fiora does fight for a while. So we'll notice once we hit the 5 stacks, we jump up on armor and MR, which, you know, kind of covers what Hullbreaker did, or used to rather. So I think that Jack Show could be a viable option. But like I said, initial reactions here, I'm gonna have to say that Fiora is actually taking a step down. I think losing Divine and Gore Drinker, I think those items are broken. And I think they always have been broken. And I think losing them and losing the HP from it really hurts Fiora. I do think that Fiora has been in a very good spot, like an above average S tier spot for a pretty long time. So this is a nerf. This is a nerf so far to Fiora. I think they're going to mess around with some stuff and change some things, so we'll have to see. So those are my initial thoughts about Season 14, guys. I am excited for change, but obviously just a little worried because I know that Fiora's taken a little hit here. So I'm going to jump into some PvE games and try some new builds out and see if I can make some videos for us and see if we can get some new awesome OP core builds. So until next time, thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Love ya. Bye-bye.